You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Still trying to wrap my head around what the hell happened in that Monday Night Football game with all the turnovers and everything else. But nevertheless, we are here in the playoffs. I squeaked by in a couple, I dominated in a couple, I drastically underperformed in a couple more. Like it was balanced throughout. But now that we're in the dance, I have more in than not, which is a good thing. And most of the money leagues I'm in the running for. There was one or two where I didn't quite make it, but most I'm there for. So I'm happy about that. The college football rankings and faux uproar is what I'm going to call it. From over the weekend, that was entertaining as hell. Being a Georgia fan, I was super happy with the outcome of that game. I know your Sooners are in there, so I'm happy for you. I'm bummed that it's a rematch. Like, I wish they would have seeded that a little differently. Like,
give us Miami
rematch later, right? Like, so I was a little bummed by that.
But
nevertheless,
especially because it's looks like it's probably supposed to snow in Norman this weekend or next weekend. So give Miami coming up to the snow and have to play.
Listen, honestly, I don't know if people in Tuscaloosa know what to do in the snow either. So, I mean, it could be interesting, but nevertheless, you're in the dance. That's all you can ask for, right? You need a shot, and our favorite college teams are both at least given a shot. We're going to see how it shakes out from there.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out, right? And the all of the I like that, the faux uproar or the faux indignation is another probably good way to put that. But
yeah,
all of the hoopla and media tour stuff going on the last couple of days has been interesting, and I think that's probably the nicest way I can say that is interesting to read and watch. So, but yeah, so we're
win the games in front of you. I'll be a little bit more direct than you will. Shut up and win the games in front of you. Don't lose to a 5-win Florida team. Don't drop the 2 games that you have against top 10 competition at the beginning of the season. Like, don't cry because you decided not to join a conference. Like, don't just stop it.
Right. By the way, if you had been in that conference, you might have been playing in the conference championship game and might have been able to find a way to get there, right? Like,
right.
But it is what it is. And then I think Duke winning that conference championship certainly threw things in a tizzy.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the things that certainly upset the apple cart, it seemed like.
I tell you what, watching that, I really wasn't watching that game, if I'm honest. Like, I was really watching IU and Ohio State. That game just happened to still be on, so I flipped it back and watched the end. When Virginia tied it up at the very end, who was I talking to? I think I was on the phone with my mom. I'm on the phone, I'm going, holy shit. Like, I can't believe he caught that ball. Thinking, okay, like, he's got this. And then, obviously, Duke went right down and scored the first there in overtime. Why? I don't understand the play. I don't understand the play that Virginia decided to run. Like, play straight, like, I don't know. It was forced. It was clunky. It was just a really ugly play for the very first play of overtime.
Right. So
I don't know. Like, you have to get 7. You have 4 downs to do it. That's why you want to go second in these overtime situations. And there you go. I guess I don't remember how the coin flip went. Is it Duke that won and they wanted to go first, or was it Virginia that won and they offered? And that's what I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Because if Virginia won the coin flip and offered to go second, that was a mistake. You had a deflated defense who just gave up the game-tying touchdown. Like, you should have pounced on a team that was a little demoralized at the moment, and instead you gave everybody a chance to rally. But neither here nor there. But yes, Duke screwed it up because if Virginia gets in, they win, they get in. No James Madison, and then a lot of this conversation's for naught.
Right. So very true. But anyway, no, we've talked. We probably switch gears over to the NFL. Right, pretty interesting week with the NFL side of things as well. The Chiefs are 6-7, and on the very much on the outside looking in, needing a lot of help and to win out to make it there.
Yeah, first time being under 500, 13 games or more into the regular season since 2012. 2013. So, heck of a streak. I mean, it's a heck of a run, right? And they have run the AFC West. And I was watching Skip Bayless, and I understand that a lot of, he's kind of like oh shoot, what's his name? The guy he did the morning show with, Stephen A. He's kind of like that, right? Like, it's clicks, it's bombastic, it's over the top, like. But he did have a good point. When did the memo go out that Patrick Mahomes was never allowed to be criticized? Ever. Because we criticize everybody else at some point in time. But we refuse to criticize Patrick Mahomes. And he's kind of right. Like, Mahomes is extremely inaccurate. Like, he's holding on to the ball too long and trying to make everything off schedule and everything. And I know you and I talked a little about off schedule and on schedule. I think it was last week.
Yeah, it was last week or the week before as well.
Yeah, we were talking about that. And we understand that Mahomes does do a lot of that. But at the same time, it's not working this season. So maybe you do try and run some more on schedule routes and see if we can get a couple more quick slants or a couple more quick outs and just, 3-step and let it rip, right? Just real quick stuff to get him set. And it ain't happening. And the 4-leaf clover that resided in Kansas City has moved on to somewhere else. But it is no longer in Kansas City. They are struggling mightily.
Right. Well, it's very much one of those that, traditionally speaking, if a team does really well in one-loss games in 1 year, the following year they usually struggle. Right?
Don't say that, because that's the Broncos next year.
Well, you saw that the year before where the Broncos struggled a bit in one-score games the previous year, right? Last year. This year, we're seeing that turnaround here, right? The Chiefs happen to have like 2 years in a row where they had really good luck in 2-score games, and that just seems to have reversed itself, right? Minnesota is seeing something very similar this year, right? They were exceptionally good last year in 1-score games, and now not, right? Like, it is with the parity of the NFL these days. It very much is a case where, season to season, right? Wins and losses, double-digit wins and losses are oftentimes determined by 1 or 2 plays throughout the game, right? Like the way the ball bounced one way type of deal, whether that play was made or not made has a drastic impact on the overall outcome of that. And it seems to be increasing as time goes along instead of decreasing, right? Like, several years ago, it wasn't uncommon to have 2 possession games be kind of the norm in a lot of that, right? You had good teams, you had bad teams. The good teams tended to just blow guys out by double digits. And nowadays, even when you have the not so good teams and the good teams, those oftentimes end up being in almost that 1 possession games more often than not, it seems like.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Right. And yeah, but yeah, it was a couple weeks ago we were talking about that, and with the off schedule and all of that, and quite frankly, anybody out, we were talking about it as to some of these organizations that like to try and say, oh well, the quarterback's not playing on schedule, and that's the reason that we're winning or we're not winning games, and we can't get anything going, and the offense looks better with the backup in here or whatever, right? and my take on that is still very much the same, that if you're a coach and you're saying that you're having a hard time winning and the organization's not doing well and the offense isn't playing well or whatever because you're not on schedule, that's poor coaching more often than it's not, right?
Yeah.
A bad crutch to lean on.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
Anyway, any other kind of news notes we want to hit up here from week 14 before we start trying to dive into the chat here?
I know we talked about this briefly Friday night because the Cowboys played Thursday against the Lions, but we still have not really heard any news about CeeDee Lamb that I've seen. So we need to proceed like he is not going to be playing this weekend, which is a bummer, especially needing him for your fantasy purposes. But I hope he's okay. Once again, that concussion was gnarly. Just the way he landed and the way his body reacted to that. He is not a player who has traditionally had head injury issues. And quite frankly, if we were coming up with a list of players preseason who we thought could get knocked out because of a concussion, I don't think CeeDee Lamb ever would have been a talking point. Like we would have brought up Tua, we would have brought up Chris Olave, maybe a couple other guys, maybe some running backs, right, who tend to lead head first and kind of get their bell rung a little bit, but not this way. So it's a little scary, but hopefully he's able to fully recover, even if he misses this week, and get him back for week 16.
Right. So, yeah, certainly it was worth keeping an eye on that one for sure. Drake London was I didn't see the report today, but I know yesterday was an estimated did not practice, which not a good thing when you're looking at a potentially short week there and what that may look like. So that may be one that you're likely going to have to pivot on.
Yeah, borderline rip for Drake London this season, right? It's just the Falcons are quickly just have nothing to fight for. A lot of, whether it's injuries, a lot of bad luck on top of the injuries, it's not adding up to forcing London or asking London to come back as soon as possible. This is more so, well, he's clearly our wide receiver of the future for the franchise. So why waste it and take more tread off those tires, even if he's close this season? Like, it's just not, it's quickly getting to the point of it's not worth it.
Right. Also, some of that playing out there as well with Garrett Wilson. That was one of those that may have returned here for the week 15, but we'll see on this one, right? Still not a whole lot of updates on that one as well. So worth keeping an eye on there. Any other injury notes that I'm missing here?
Jerome Ford went on IR for the Browns. It's not necessarily massive news. Dylan Sampson was already kind of playing ahead of him, but the little bit of run that Ford was getting, you can assume that Sampson's probably going to absorb a little bit more of that than Judkins with the way this season's going. So, again, it's kind of a desperation move, but if you're dying for running back help, it's a possibility.
Right. Daniel Jones, obviously.
Daniel Jones, that was another non-contact Achilles injury on his non-broken leg. That was crazy. That was unfortunate to see, and very much the case, right? You knew when he stepped, you could see it roll up his leg. That was bad. Consequently, the Colts have signed Phillip Rivers to their practice squad after being retired for the last 5 seasons.
Right.
So that's interesting because Riley Leonard's banged up. Richardson's still on IR. So sorry, Colts. You had a great run, and it is coming crashing down here at the end of the season. So what it also does is it potentially messes with Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, guys who we've been putting into our lineups. And so I think it's even going to affect Jonathan Taylor, right? Now teams are going to stack the box. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback now. We're going to throw 8, 9 guys in the box. You go ahead and try and beat us. Like we'll play man coverage and do a couple exotic blitzes on second down to get you to third and long, so that way you really can't hurt us. And that's going to be it. So the Colts are essentially dead in the water right now, which is crazy because what was it, 3 weeks ago they were sitting in first place.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Jaden Daniels, another one that we'll see what that looks like, right? Like started week 14, took a shot, went out.
Sit him. There's no point. You're a 3-win Washington team. You have nothing to play for. Sit him. Again, this is your franchise. Got hurt, came back, got hurt, came back, got hurt, and it's a scare this time. It's not serious. Sit him. There's something in the water, just dumb luck, right? Is really what it is. These are not gruesome, bad hits. There's just dumb luck. Sit him. Washington has nothing to play for.
Right. And DK Metcalf, it looks like he's trending and playing. Looks like he actually stayed in Baltimore overnight at a hospital with some stomach stuff. But Steelers came out today and said that he's moving in the right direction to play. So that's trending in the right direction. T. Higgins back in the concussion protocol going into week 15. So, yeah, that's another one to keep an eye on. I would anticipate if he's back in the protocol after just returning from one in week 14 that he'll likely miss here as well in week 15.
Yeah, they're opening an investigation into this one.
Right.
Because he hit his head hard, and they did take a look at him. So I don't know what the NFL's procedure is there, right? If they go to the independent neurologist that's there on site and kind of go through his notes, what did you see, what did you not see, whatever tracking that they do, because these guys are writing all these notes down, right, to kind of cover everything and make sure it's above reproach. But the NFL is opening an investigation into this T. Higgins thing, because he never blacked out, but you could tell when he came back and hit his head, just coming back from a concussion, you knew that it could be bad. And he spent a little bit of time on the sidelines getting checked out and then came right back in. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. And sometimes the symptoms do hit, right? They're not always as bad and as evident as the Tua's and the CeeDee Lamb one was, right? Sometimes you do get your bell rung and you're able to kind of get through the process. You understand what's going on. You have your wits about you. You just, okay, whatever. And then after your adrenaline wears off, then the symptoms really start to appear. So that's entirely possible. But the NFL is going to do their homework and check with the neurologist on site and say, okay,
right,
run me through the situation and as much detail as possible, and then they'll make a decision.
Right. Devon Achane also left the game in the second quarter, didn't return with some ribs. Looks like we're still waiting for some updates on that one and seeing what that looks like here. But you could finally be in line to see a Jalen Wright type of sighting here this season. So,
yeah, it could be, right? Over 100 yards coming into the game. It's kind of weird with him seeing first crack and not Ollie Gordon. So, maybe it's more of that situation where, you do see this from time to time, especially with running backs, is the guy who's third on the depth chart is actually first behind the starter. He's just not the pass catching specialist or the blocking specialist or whatever that the number 2 guy on the chart is. And so the first guy goes down and it's actually 3 who jumps to 1, and not just everybody scoots up a spot. So we'll see how that goes. I am interested again, and that's another player. If you have him on your roster, he has been dynamite for you here these last few weeks. He is a player that you definitely want to see on the injury report as you're heading into the playoffs. And so much so that he's right up there with McCaffrey and Gibbs. Those 3 running backs, Achane, McCaffrey, Gibbs, are massive reasons your particular team is strong down the stretch and into the playoffs.
Right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one comes out to play as well. And so definitely worth keeping an eye out, and definitely worth putting some waiver wire claims in this week. And so I'm sure we'll have some questions about some waiver wires in the chat here. But any other news notes that you want to hit up here before we start jumping into the chat?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's go ahead and hit it up. We got Jason over on YouTube saying that they have Burrow with Chase in a stack. Which QB should I pick up just in case for week 16 and 17 between Brissett, Goff, Rodgers, Young, Darnold, and Shuck?
Brissett. He's throwing 40 times a game.
Right.
Like, the opportunity is there. And if you're losing Burrow, I mean, if you want to go safe, you could argue Goff or Darnold. But realistically, your best all-around scoring right now with what you're getting, it is Jacoby Brissett. Like, this week's going to be really tough against Houston, but this isn't the week you're looking for, right? You're looking for 16 and 17. So I think it's Jacoby Brissett.
All right, cosign. Which 1 to 2 players should I stash on my bench between Tracy, Corum, have Kyron also? Yes to Corum. Worthy also have Chase, Nico, Sutton, Terry. London might be out for the year. P. Ryan and White.
Definitely Blake Corum. Just in case. And right now they're splitting this a hell of a lot more, trying to save Kyron Williams. So if the Rams clinch, you could absolutely see Kyron get sat and Blake Corum just kind of take the full load here for a game or two, depending on how the seating structure
Shakes
is.
Out, yeah.
So definitely Blake Corum. Worthy, not so much. Tracy's dinged up. I think you're going to see a lot more Devin Singletary this week than Tyrone Tracy. So, I mean, if you're just looking to stash a guy, Worthy, I guess. I mean, in case something happens to one of the Chiefs receivers. But realistically, Chase, Nico, Terry, and Sutton. I mean, that's kind of where you're running there with.
Right.
With where you're going. So if anything, you could drop Rashad White if you need to and pick up Xavier Worthy, and I wouldn't blame you for it.
Right. Yeah, Blake Corum's the only one that I'm looking to stash on that one there. Oh, this is fun. Can't get the computer to rock and roll.
I see it. You want me to read it?
Yep. Oh, there we go. All right. Is it time to drop Tootin, Burden, Knight, or other stashes like Pollard, or for I think that's 4, or for other stashes like Pollard, Singletary, P. Ryan, Wilson, Sampson?
You could drop Tootin and Knight if you wanted to, and pick up P. Ryan and Sampson. I guess. Like, again, Tony Pollard had a great game, but this is not where they've been trending. Like, Tennessee was in the game the entire game. Most weeks we have not seen that, right? And when Tennessee's out of the game, you do see more Tajay Spears because he's the pass catching back. So great game from Tony Pollard. Don't chase the points there. Like, I wouldn't worry about that at all. Again, Sampson's interesting, again, because Ford just got put on IR. So he's clearly the next guy and really only guy up if something were to happen to Judkins. And then P. Ryan's been pretty involved here with the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, you could take a flyer on him if you wanted, but the guy of your list, I would keep Luther Burden around. Like, you just never know what this is going to look like. This Roma Dunze stress fracture thing seems like it's going to keep him out for a couple weeks. They had a really tough matchup against the Bears. So against the Packers. So don't overreact to one bad week. But I think Tootin and Bam Knight, you can kind of start to fade away from and grab another piece or two if you want.
Right. Michael Wilson would be a guy I wouldn't mind stashing as well. Right. The connections there.
Emmanuel Wilson from the Packers.
No, if it's Manuel Wilson, meh. If it's Michael Wilson, I say yeah. So very well could be since most of these are running backs that are listed here. But so Jason, that's kind of the question there, right? Manuel Wilson, not so much. if it's Michael Wilson, yes, would be looking to add that and do that with the quickness.
If you have one of these guys, like if you have Jacobs, then Wilson moves to more of the top end, right? Make sure you have your handcuff.
Right.
So we saw that in a couple of games that Jacobs missed. Emmanuel Wilson had really good games. Same thing. If you have Quinshon Judkins, absolutely, it's Dylan Sampson. Like, so some of these guys you need to keep for just your own handcuffs, so you're not scrambling if something does happen. If you have the main guy,
right? I like it. Jason saying they currently have Joe Burrow and Bo Nix in this league. Are those two fine options for week 16, 17? Purdy, Rodgers, Trevor, Darnold are options as well. Yeah. Oh, Joe Burrow's out of your list there. Joe Burrow's your guy to ride with the rest of the season, right?
Yeah, and I'd keep Nix around too. Like, I don't think they're going to run away for this 1 seed, and they still have Chargers. They still have the Chiefs again. So they're going to be in it, and a lot of times what you want in week 16 and 17 are teams that are really still fighting for things, because it keeps their game script in.
Mm-hmm.
Week 18 is the bonus week, right? Where you're trying to hit players that have incentives and where you're looking at the game a little differently. But in week 16, 17, these teams are probably still going to be fighting for something. Definitely the Broncos. There's a possibility, right? If the Bengals can rattle off some wins, they'll need a lot of help. But in week 16, 17, they could technically still be playing for things.
Right.
So I would keep those two and just let everybody else sit out.
Right. The Bengals have not been eliminated yet. They still have from some of the calculators I've seen, roughly a 1% chance to make the playoffs, right? But so you're saying there's a chance. All righty.
Yeah. As bad as Baltimore's been, Pittsburgh's been up and down. I mean, they still have a chance in the division, right? That is their chance. It's the division. So until a team clinches the NFC North, or excuse me, the AFC North, Cincinnati's in it.
Right. Which is crazy to think about, that they would manage to still be in it at this point, but crazy things. Jason saying, looking at week 16 defense, I see our Chiefs versus Saints, Bills versus Browns, and Saints versus Jets. Which defense is best for that week? Unless people drop defenses before week 16, then they'll have some other options.
It's the Chiefs.
Right?
Don't let the record fool you. They're playing the Titans. Like, Bills, I don't want the Bills defense at all versus the Browns, because the Browns will probably try and just run it down their throat. And we've seen that strategy work against Buffalo before.
Right.
This season. So I wouldn't do that. Saints and Jets, both those teams are so far eliminated that you never quite know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the Chiefs have a lot of pride. And even if they get to the point where they're eliminated, I still think that they're going to go out and try and, redeem some respectability, if you will. So I'll take that matchup against the Titans all day.
Right. Yeah, I would as well. Same thing, right, with the Saints and Jets. You might see third stringers out there. Like, this might be very much we're seeing what we've got, and that way we know what we're addressing here in the off season, draft picks and free agents. So yeah, that's a no thanks. But I do like that call on the Chiefs. Nate over on YouTube saying, yo, start Kelsey or Fannin this week.
This is actually a lot closer than what I ever imagined it being. So I think Fannin has more upside than Travis Kelce does. And I think Shedeur Sanders really likes targeting Fannin. So I think that's your start this week, right? Like, yes, I think there's some areas where, Kelsey's going to lock down at practice and try and redeem from a really bad game this past week, and that all that hoopla, whatever. But like, take the young combo this week, I think, because I think it'll actually pay off between Sanders and Fannin over what Kelsey's going to do for the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I do think that this one is probably point that they probably get to within about a point if I'm projecting that out, and you're kind of looking at the projecting side of that. But I think Vannon very well could get top 5 tight end this week. Wouldn't surprise me if we look up and he has another just really good performance there. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think you and I are in lockstep there.
All right. The Frogs over on YouTube. Dak, Purdy, Kyron, Harvey, Hendy. That's a lot of names that just end in E on that with the Y. Anyway, sorry. Rico, Woody, Swift, Magungai, Lamb, Mbuka, Tet, Jamo, Loveland, Henry. Oh, there's the question. Need 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. So it's this point. I'm just running. I'm riding with Dak on just about any format out there. Short of Josh Allen, maybe Drake May, Matthew Stafford. Like it's Dak, and I'm riding with that week in, week out.
Yeah, at home against Minnesota, I think that's right. Oh, gracious. So I would play, as crazy as it is, you're going to have to go 3 running backs, right? Like you just don't have, I don't like Lamb Lamb's probably out, and Buka's really been struggling. Like, so I think you're playing
Tet and Jamo.
Tet, at least Tet. Like that's my set for the one set for the wide receiver. So for the running back side, I think you're going Henderson, Woody, and you like Harvey or Swift?
The Woody surprises me a little bit.
Whoa, against the Cardinals? Hell yes.
Fair enough.
There's no Nick Chubb. Joe Mixon ain't coming back to save the Texans. Like Woody's going to get all of it. I think he sees 20 plus touches in this game.
Fair enough. Hendy for sure, right, against Buffalo. So I like the Hendy call there. I do like the Harvey call. Yeah, all right, you talked me into it. I like both the running backs in Chicago if I've only got one to pick from, but the dual-headed monster that they're running, that seems like a really good opportunity to pick the wrong guy in there. So,
so you'd rather have Harvey than Swift this week?
Yeah, I think I would lean that way. I think I would lean on the Harvey side.
Okay, so Harvey, Henderson, and Woody. And then we have Mbuka. I mean,
yeah, Tet's the for sure smash on that one. I don't think we're going to see CeeDee Lamb this week.
I don't think so either. I think based off of this, I think Mbuka is at least going to see the targets.
Right.
That's the problem with Jamo. Jamo can go off, but Mbuka is going to at least see the targets.
Right.
And then
Detroit's got the Rams, and the Rams have been just really good on both sides of the ball. So
yeah. And I think I'm going to play Loveland over Henry.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. And I would agree with the Mbuka side as well, right? They've got Atlanta. I think Atlanta's all but decided to start booking off-season vacations at this point. And I would lean on the Loveland side as well. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Sounds like we're set. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nope. I guess real quick, I'll mention the reason I'm not looking at Rico right now is because Chuba Hubbard is kind of taken over the number 1 duties again in Carolina. So he's just been running a little bit better, which it's a good problem to have if you're Carolina. It sucks as a fantasy owner.
Right.
Because Chuba, and then it was clearly Rico, and now it's back to Chuba. So that's why I didn't even consider him.
So I like it. Frosty saying, yo, Dart, Purdy, or Love for the playoffs?
So Dart has the easiest schedule.
Yes.
Purdy and Love are the ones who are going to be in the playoff hunt fighting for things.
And I like Purdy's schedule So Purdy goes Tennessee, Indiana, Chicago, right? Chicago's been giving things up through the air. Indiana, who knows what this team's going to look like next week, right? Like they are kind of in that implosion train.
Well, and with Sauce being out.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And
I think
Tennessee this week, I
Purdy.
really like that one. Love,
Yeah.
no thanks on the love side, right? Like you've got Denver, Chicago, Baltimore. So Denver's going to be a fit matchup for them this week, especially in Denver. Chicago, we could see a pretty good showing there from him. But that Baltimore game depends on what Baltimore team you're facing, right? If they're and where they're at on their playoff journey there as well. So loves the third option for me on that.
I think I'm going Purdy.
Yeah, darts rest of the season schedule is awfully juicy with Washington, Minnesota, and Vegas. But
his problem is he's one hit away from being on the sideline the rest of the season.
Right?
I appreciate the fact he likes to ball out, but it just I don't.
Right.
I don't know. I don't want to trust it. I'd rather see Purdy in my lineup.
Yeah, and I think realistically, when you're looking at it between Purdy and Dart, you're talking kind of back to back anyway. Like rest of season scorings on weeks 15, 16, 17. These guys are probably separated out by 2, maybe 3 points rest of season, as far as kind of projecting that out and what that looks like. So I'll take Purdy. I feel safe. I feel like that's a little bit safer option in my roster week in, week out.
Yeah.
Let's get it over on YouTube. Say, what's up, fellas? Half point PPR, Marks or Hendy, and Bears or Broncos?
It's a heck of a decision between Woody Marks and Henderson. So Henderson has the side. Henderson has the upside.
Right.
So he's super explosive. The Bills, as we've stated, are not great against the run, but it is a weird divisional matchup, and sometimes those games get a little funky. Woody Marks and the Texans are not playing in the conference even. They get the Cardinals this week. And defensively, the Cardinals have kind of become a wet paper bag. And like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, there's no Nick Chubb, there's no Joe Mixon, and I think Woody Marks has all the volume. So it really depends on what you feel like you need. If you want the upside and you need the home run hit, if you just don't think you're quite matching up with your opponent very well, I tell you Henderson, because he's going to give you the highest likelihood of, being able to get over 20 points. Woody Marks, you're probably going to consistently be in that 13 to 16 range. And half point, maybe even a little bit less. So it might be closer to 11 to 13 points for Woody. So that's why I'm looking at the running backs. Defensively, I'm going to take the Broncos at home. I know the Packers have been playing really well, but I think this is going to be a typical Bronco low-scoring game to see if they can turn the ball over once or twice, get the sacks, right? And I think that's where it's really going to come in, see if they can get Jordan Love on the ground a couple times and get some of those sack points. But give me the home team Broncos over the Chicago Bears this week.
Yeah, I do like that matchup that the Bears have against Cleveland, but I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm going to go with the Broncos as well at home. So I'll lean that route as well.
Close to the Bears, right? Like that's a point.
They're close. They're close.
Right?
Sure.
So I don't mind the Bears. Again, it looks like a really good matchup on paper. So, and they've been very opportunistic as far as turnovers go. So I don't mind the Bears. I just give me the team that's leading the league in sacks, because it's a lot easier to sack the quarterback than turn the quarterback over.
Right. And for Shedeur having a hard time, completing passes more than about 52% on the season, has not really turned the ball over so far. So That is one
He's
benefit there.
hurting it more than anything, right?
Right. So, but yeah, I do like the Hendy side on the running back there. And yes, I absolutely agree with you that Woody Marks will likely get a lot of volume. The only concern that I have is that volume that even against the Arizona, that offensive line for Houston is horrendous. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see Woody Marks get 20 carries and not even get to 3 yards an average on that one. So you're starting him. You may very well see a 20 carries for 60 yards type of thing, and maybe gets into the end zone. I think that New England has a better chance of, and that game has a better chance of getting a little higher scoring with New England and Buffalo, and I like Henderson's opportunity to fall into the end zone more. So that's where I'm leaning on the Hendy side there. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
All right. Also need one wide receiver alongside Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Flournoy, Judy, or Mechie. Would you have thought, 15 weeks ago when we were starting out the season that you would have any other names alongside that with Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., these other names into a start-sit decision?
No, I mean maybe Myers is like a flex play, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Just to kind of depend on how the Raiders were playing before the trade, obviously. But this one's tough, and I'll tell you right now, to me, it's clearly Brian Thomas, and I know that sounds crazy to start both receivers from the same team. And Derek and I have talked about this. We typically don't like to do it.
At all.
However,
But
the Cardinals are going up against the Texans, who are allowing less than 190 yards on average to opposing quarterbacks. So it is going to be a lot of short dump offs. Hopefully, Trey McBride can get there for those owners who have Trey McBride. But it's going to be a really tough matchup for the Cardinals this week. So I don't want any part of that passing game. Flournoy is super interesting because he does just kind of seem to get open at times for Dak. But that matchup against Minnesota, like Minnesota's just good enough defensively that could cause a little bit of a problem. Like you could see him getting 50 to 60 yards, right? And the Cowboys just try and revamp the early season success of letting Pickens go buck wild with CeeDee Lamb out. So that one's interesting. I don't want any part of Judy. Mechie is a Hail Mary throw. So I think I'm going Myers and Brian Thomas this week. This is the best overall matchup. Myers and Brian Thomas, you're both guaranteed to see 6 to 7 targets apiece, which is probably more than anybody else on this list this week.
Right. It's
Woof.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with you here, and I really am never a fan of in a redraft, in a dynasty, like starting two of the guys from the same, two wide receivers or two running backs from the same team, right? Like that's just too much capital invested into one ecosystem, so to speak, there, right? Like I just don't want to do it, but I don't know that you can trust Marvin Harrison Jr. this week, right? Like missed the 2 games, came back, missed last week. Like, this is and with this one here too, right? Is this one of those we start seeing Arizona start shutting guys down here? Right? Very well could be. I just don't know that I want any part of Cleveland's passing attack that isn't named Harold Fannin. If you really want to go somewhere else, you could look at a Judy, but that'd be the only other one that I'd kind of look at, and I don't feel.
I think Judy's almost like 3 targets. Like Shadur's not looking at him.
That's true. Mechie's has been interesting just from the standpoint that he's been getting targets, right? He's 7 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets the last 3 games.
Well, who's playing quarterback?
That's the problem, right? he's gotten some good looks over the last few weeks, but you also may have Garrett Wilson coming back at this point. That also kind of, man, I'm trying to find any way to like talk myself into any option besides
But it's
Myers.
not. But we know. I think we know Tyrod's out. We don't know if Fields is actually going to get the start or if they're going to skip over him. Like this quarterback room is almost as bad, if not worse, than the Colts right now.
True.
Like at least Trevor Lawrence is the actual starter.
Well, fair. Yeah, we could see Brady Cook come into be the guy there. So yeah, woof. All right.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not pretty, but it's the best. It's the best advice I can give is you start your Jaguars wide receivers.
Yeah. And let's get it. I was trying to find any other way to talk myself into any other option there, and I can't do it. I can't do it. So yep, co-sign with you. Frosty over at YouTube, how much fab should I put on Flournoy? He's got $17.
$9. I mean, you're getting down to the nitty gritty. So if you feel like you're set, like I like to keep a couple bucks for like a defense, or if you run kickers in your league, or something like that, just in case. But for the most part, your roster's set, right? Like unless you're trying to play keep away a little bit with some end of the bench type thing, like you really don't need your fab at this point. You're kind of just riding with the guys who got you there, and you're starting all your studs. So if you need him, yeah, being without CD and London, yeah, that hurts. Like so, maybe up to like 11. I don't think most people would pay more than $10 for him, and it might be a bit of an overpay. But this is the time of year where you get away with overpays because there's only 3 weeks left.
And for the most part, it's win or go home, right? So if you're not winning, you're headed on out. So it is that time for sure. So yeah. Let's see here. Marcus over on YouTube, 12-man full point PPR, one flex QB, May, running backs Achan, Bucky, Henry, Woody, Achan, Bucky, Henry, and Woody. Wide receivers are JSN, Amon-Ra, Watson, and Garrett. Tight ends are Kittle and Fannin. How do you think this team is in the playoffs? For a 12-man roster, that is a lot of top-end talent that you've got.
Yeah, I think so too. Right? I mean, I really like the running back room. JSN is going to be your anchor, pairing him with Amon-Ra, like you're golden. So, yeah, you're running pick. Love.
So maybe having some technical difficulties there. But yeah, with that, I really like that running back room, really like the wide receivers on that. I think you've got a great shot and able to try and bring something home here down the stretch and try and bring home the trophy at the end of the season. So any other thoughts on that one? All righty. Jordan over on YouTube saying, "Sup, good old boys." Not much, Jordan. You know how we're doing it on a Tuesday. And it does look like Kevin is having a little bit of technical difficulties, so hopefully we'll see him back in here in just a moment. Jordan saying, "Not a fun time to be a Colts fan, but hey, at least we got IU." Yeah, that's an interesting one there, right? Like Indiana, typically football is and IU are not synonymous, but they certainly have put together a program there over the last couple of years. So that is true. You've got that. Michael over on YouTube, first round, but drafted Jaden Daniels, traded for Stafford week 7, kept Daniels on bench IR. Want to drop Daniels for second defense, Lions, Rams, Saints. I have Tampa now or anyone else. So it looks like we've got Kevin back. It looks like some of those technical difficulties sorted. So that's good to see.
Damn hotel Wi-Fi.
Thoughts on this one here, right? So it's a first round, drafted Jaden Daniels, traded for Stafford in week 7. Daniels been riding the IR and bench. Want to drop Daniels for a second defense, such as the Lions, Vikings, Rams, Saints. They have Tampa now.
I'd rather have Daniels and Stafford than a second defense.
Yeah, you can float the defenses around, but if you are feeling that froggy, I'd probably pick up the Rams out of that group you've mentioned.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. They're playing the best football right now.
Right. Junie over on YouTube, do I start Mahomes or Purdy this week? LOL, help.
You start Mahomes. You start the guy who got you there, right? Mm-hmm. He had a bad game against a really good defense in Houston. I expect them to bounce back and be a much better offensive unit here this week. So I would start Mahomes and feel fairly confident about that.
Yeah, I mean I would lean the Mahomes side. These two are incredibly close for me this week, though, right? Some of that has to do with the fact that San Francisco's squaring off against Tennessee, and I do think that we'll see San Francisco just run away with that. Mahomes facing off against the LA Chargers, and that was a pretty close game here, week 1, and when we saw the Chargers come out and just win that one. So it is very interesting to kind of see how this one comes to pass. I think we'll see a much better performance from Mahomes this week than what we saw last week against Houston. I do think that these two are almost back to back, and I would still probably lean Mahomes, but it is by the slimmest of margins. Any other thoughts on this one? All right, Terry over on YouTube. Aaron Jones versus Dallas, Swift against Cleveland, Warren against Miami, Debo versus the Giants, Sutton versus the Raiders, and Watson versus Denver. Pick 2 full point PPR.
We a week off? Sutton played the Raiders last week.
Yeah,
because that's off. It's just that Broncos game. So.
Yes, because Sutton will be playing Green Bay this week. 2 running backs and a flex, so it's pick 2, an RB2 and a flex. It sounds like.
So the 2 running backs, then I would go Swift and Warren.
Okay.
Like I just Aaron Jones is a little dinged up. I think we're going to see a lot more Mason Taylor. So that's why I'm doing that. Obviously, Cleveland just gave it up to Tony Pollard of all people. So that was a little interesting. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for the Bears, but I would start Swift and Warren in that aspect. So then for the flex, I think I'm going Debo, right? Mariota had some chemistry with Debo, and now that he's more than likely going to get thrust back in there, or we should get thrust back in there. On top of the fact that the Giants are a much easier defensive unit, I think I'd rather go Debo. Watson has been really hot. I don't know that Surtain's going to blanket Christian Watson, but again, that Denver defense again is very good. So I think your opportunities are going to be rather limited. And then Sutton, I think, is just half a step behind Debo.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those wide receivers are incredibly close together. Wouldn't surprise me if, these guys are kind of within a point of each other. I would lean the Debo side as well. One, the matchup. Two, the chemistry between him and Mariota has looked really good. So I certainly don't mind that pick, and that's where I would lean as well. Trone over on YouTube saying currently have the Rams defense who play the Lions and Seahawks up next. Would you drop the Rams for the Jags versus the Jets? It's a good one there, right? So you got the Rams and you've got the squaring off against the Lions, Seahawks, and I've got the Jags and the Jets. Okay, let's take a look into this. This week against Detroit is a rough matchup there. The Rams have been playing very, very good. Jacksonville's been a hot team lately. So I think I would rather play the Jags versus the Jets this week. As far as rest of season, though, I would rather have the Rams than the Jags rest of the season. I do think that we'll let's look into that a little bit more. So with the Rams, you're finishing that off with Detroit, Seattle, Atlanta, that week 17 matchup for the Rams, super juicy. Right, Jacksonville gets the better game this week with the Jets, but then they finish it off with Denver and Denver and Indianapolis. So that Indianapolis matchup may also look juicy in week 17 as well, but some of that will depend upon who in the world they find to play quarterback and what that looks like here over the next couple of weeks. But for week 15, I'd rather play the Jags defense over the Jags defense versus the Jets than the Rams versus the Lions, but rest of the season, I would take the Rams defense for that. Any thoughts on this one?
No, I think you're on the right track, right? So for week 15, it's the Jags. Week 16, I think it flips, and then it's the Rams. And then week 17, honestly, I think you can coin flip it at that point. Right. I don't think the Colts are going to pose much of a threat. We've kind of seen what that playbook is going to look like this past week. So I don't know that that's a big fear. So if you think you can drop the Rams and then turn around and pick them up, definitely grab the Jags for this week. Otherwise, you might have to cross your fingers that you can just get through Detroit, and then you're kind of on the home stretch. The Seattle matchup does not scare me. Like, right. It's JSN, right? JSN can do some damage, but you could easily see this game between the Rams and Seahawks be a super low scoring affair. We've seen Sam Darnold kind of crumple at times against elite competition, and that's what the Rams are. So I think Sam Darnold could be in for one of those bad games next week that we don't like to see. But it's kind of one of those things. So it all depends on your league. If your guys are super active and you drop the Rams and someone else is going to pick them back up, then maybe take a look at your roster and see if there's, a bum running back, Rachaad White. If you have Rachaad White, drop him, pick up a second defense. If you have, who else is on there, right? Like I'd even consider dropping Tyler Algier and picking up a second defense for this week and looking at it like that.
Okay, I like it. Ricky over on YouTube saying, "What's up, fellas?" Not much, Ricky. We're doing it live on a Tuesday here. Frosty over on YouTube, Burden, Godwin, Flournoy, pick 2. Do I have to?
Wolf. Godwin is probably the one I have the most confidence in. Going up against Atlanta this week. Yes, it's a Thursday night game, but for whatever reason, the rules of Thursday night don't seem to apply to Tampa Bay and Atlanta. They kind of have this game every year, and it always ends up in the 30s, it seems like. This year, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we've seen it happen multiple years where these two teams play each other on a Thursday night, and it always seems to end up as a higher scoring game than at least what the Thursday night average is.
The game gets strong.
it gets crazy quick, right? Like it's just silly turnover, short field, type stuff. So Flanoy going up against Minnesota, Burden going up against Cleveland. I think
for me, it's Godwin and Burden, and then Flournoy's up there. But Flournoy, you've got to rely on those 2 or 3 big plays to come through for him to be fantasy relevant for you. If Roma Dunze misses, I think Burden gets there.
Man,
Woof.
I think I'd go Godwin and Flournoy.
Okay. Well,
just by I think it's barely there over Burden, but I would probably play him over Luther Burden. I just have more trust in Dak distributing the football than I do Caleb Williams.
Fair enough. All righty. Frosty over on YouTube, pick 3 between Pittman, Rico, Jalen Warren, Brian Thomas Jr., and Watson.
Who's playing quarterback for the Colts?
I don't know if you got the answer to that one.
I don't.
You're probably
that kind of hinges.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of hinges on the Pittman deal. Like I'm struggling with that in our home league. I was like, I say that, but they peppered Pittman with targets after Daniel Jones went out.
Right.
So maybe it's not the end of the world. Like they got to throw to someone, so you're throwing to Pittman. And if you're picking 3, I mean,
and if
it's Brian Thomas Jr. is number 1, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of play that. I think Jalen Warren against Miami is in play. I think that game stays pretty close between those 2 teams, so he stays in play throughout it. And then it's kind of where do you want your risk, right? Do you want your risk in kind of the guy who's playing the number 2 role for Carolina as far as the running back goes, but we've seen him bust out big games and kind of take over that number 1 spot? Do you play the guy going up against, a top 3 pass defense in Denver on the road? Or do you take the guy who is going to be playing with a mystery quarterback, but because he's the number 1 option, should be peppered with targets no matter what? Like there's questions with all these other guys, but Brian Thomas Jr. and Warren to me are the clear 2.
I would co-sign on that. Rico's probably the third, like the distant third from what's left. And then for me, it comes down to Pittman or Watson for who the third that you're actually going to start is. So it's Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Ward, and then either Pittman or Watson for that third spot. And really that comes down to what you think, right? Like Watson, if you think that he can get behind Denver's defense and catch one over the top and get one of those 40, 50-yard touchdown plays, and I think Watson's your guy. If not, I'm going to roll Pittman on that one and just hope that whoever it is that's playing quarterback back there goes, okay, we're gonna go 1-2 balls out and just keep hitting Pittman on little 7-8 yard routes. So
yeah. I think with the way Denver's been playing, my biggest fear about Watson in general is Denver's more likely to give up 100 yards in
pass interference,
DPIs, than they are to give up 100 yards to Christian Watson. Like they just, if they get beat, they take the penalty. Like they don't allow receivers to get the yards and get the satisfaction of that. Like they take the penalty, they reset, and they move on, and it kind of controls momentum in a weird way, as opposed to letting them get hyped up that they just made a big catch. Like it's very interesting, but the more I'm looking at it, it kind of makes sense. And Riley Moss the last couple of weeks has done a much better job of defending the ball and not just grabbing all over the player. So again, I don't hate anything that you just said. I think you and I are aligned with the 2. And then I think with a gun to my head, I'd go Pittman, but I wouldn't feel very confident about it.
Yeah. So, well, there you go, Frosty. You've got the thought process there on that. Ricky over on YouTube asking, are saying, boys, my 10-man 1 QB league is May, Bijan, Barkley, Rice, Lamb, Mbuka, Bowers. Bench is Jaden Daniels, Genty, Seawatt, Magungai, Burden, Sharbs. Who do I start in the flex if Lamb is out? Appreciate y'all, y'all boys always.
Genty? Who do the Raiders even have this week?
That's a good question.
That's how bad I am about following them.
Right. Well, they haven't given much to follow this whole year. Philadelphia, they're at Philly.
I mean, we keep waiting for Philadelphia to rebound and their defense to figure it out, but they just haven't rebounded and they haven't figured it out yet. So
Right.
I don't know if that narrative changes. Like, your team is what it is at this point. We are 14 weeks into the regular season. Yes, there's wrinkles that teams haven't seen yet, but the philosophy is
Didn't
there.
change. Yeah.
I mean, I would tell you Genty's probably the upside for the running backs. Watson's the upside for the wide receivers. Benungai's kind of the good floor. But I think it's between those three. Like, I don't think it's Burden or Charbonnet.
No. And I would probably lean Genty if having
think
to
I
pick
would.
one.
I think I would too. I think I would lean Genty, but I'd definitely be keeping an eye on Benungai.
Right. So that sounds like you and I are in agreement on that one. Terry's saying it's one RB2 and one flex. So apparently must have misread that one earlier. So there it is. Aaron Jones versus Dallas, Swift versus Cleveland, Jalen Warren versus Miami. Which is your one running back that you're wanting?
Warren? Question mark?
Yeah, right.
Like, again,
I'd
all
lean
three are
Jalen
split in
Warren
the
as well.
backfield, right?
Yeah.
Like, Swift will probably get you just a little bit more passing work, but I mean, we haven't seen Caleb really check it down a whole lot, right? Like, he's more content with throwing it out of bounds than finding the check down, unless it's a designated screen. And with the Steelers, Warren just does not see many balls come his way. Gainwell's kind of take over that role. So Warren by a hair, but I think they're within like a point of each other. Like, I don't know that either one is necessarily going to dominate scoring compared to the other.
Yeah, I would also lean the Warren side as well, and I do think that they'll be close, but still leaning on the Warren side. Frosty, do we see Jaden Daniels playing, and would you play him over Purdy or Dart? No, I wouldn't play him over. At this point, I don't know what Washington would be doing if they're going to run him out there. So, yeah, I one of those that you're back to Purdy or Dart, and yeah, if you're looking this week, I don't think there's a bad choice between Purdy or Dart in that one. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I don't think so.
Frosty, also, do we know who the Jets QB will be? Is it Brady Cook?
Potentially, right? And we don't know. I don't think we'll know until Friday or Saturday.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either, right? Because Justin Fields still there. Who knows what they're going to do with that one there, or if they're going to roll with Brady Cook. So if you figure that one out, let us know. But I think Kevin's right. I don't think we'll figure that one out until late in the week, and we'll see what the practices look like and the reports coming out of that. So tune into the Friday show. We may have some answers by then to try and see that. But yeah, I don't feel great about prognostication on that one at this point in the week. So, well, it does look like that's going to take us down here to the end of the chat. Any final questions out or any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Yeah, good luck, right? You made it this far. Continue the grind. You got essentially 3 more weeks. So good luck to everybody, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more clarity on a couple of these quarterback situations come Friday that we can help everybody out with. But right now, a couple that are still up in the air.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, we'll be back on the Friday Night Lights, the old bet set snap here, 11 p.m. Eastern Friday. Make sure that you're tuning into that. We'll rock and roll through that. But that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.